Hi, I'm Susan Escalante, and I'm here with CEO Dan Matheson. And I've been running into a lot of questions and a lot of stories from life insurance. And so I wanted to ask Dan a few questions just so that you guys would have a better understanding and idea of what you should be looking for in a life insurance agent. So Dan, because I've been hearing these stories that life insurance has gone awry, and I can't help but think that if somebody had a good life insurance agent, this wouldn't happen. So I was wondering if you could kind of give a recommendation of what to look for in a good life insurance agent.
No, that's a great point, because sometimes those complaints are valid, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're really wanting to make sure that things are going well, and sometimes things don't go well depending on who you're working with. So what I would say, Susan, is when you're working or considering purchasing life insurance, number one thing that I would suggest is that you work with somebody that's reputable. Make sure that they come to you either recommended by somebody that a good friend,
Mm-hmm.
Family member, or somebody that you're and interview them. And I wouldn't just necessarily go with the first person that's been recommended either. I'd actually interview 2 or 3 people and have them come to your home, have them come to your office, have them come or meet them somewhere, so you have a chance to get to know them. That would be a really, really good place to start. And make sure you're working with somebody that you like.
Yeah.
Somebody whose personality meets your own.
Mm-hmm.
And then, there's a couple of other things that I would really look for.
Tell me.
Number one not number one, but in addition to liking them, I would see how long have they been in the business. One of the most common complaints about life insurance agents is that they sell policies and the client never sees them again.
Oh, I've heard that so many times.
Yeah, and that's really common, because what happens is the life insurance industry, to get into as a professional, it's really tough. So the turnover rate in the first couple of years, first year or so in a life insurance, it is very, very high. So you'd want to make sure that that person has been in the business for 3, 4, 5 years or so to make sure that there's some longevity there. Because if they're not, chances are very high statistically that you will buy a policy from somebody and they will be out of the business. No wonder why you're not hearing from them, because that person is out of the business, and now you're stuck without the guidance that you need.
So along that same vein, so is it better for somebody to have been in business maybe even 12, 15 years? Is that even or do you think that those people that have been that long have kind of lost their edge? What do you think about that?
No, it depends completely on the person. If they've been in the business that long, the nice thing, you should actually feel a lot of comfort there. Because what that means is they've written a lot of business. They've seen lots of different kinds of situations. And not only that, if they've been in the business that long, typically, not always, but typically they do a good job of customer service, because that keeps their business going. That's what's helped keep them in business. The other thing that I would say is there's a ton of experience at that point, because the agent has seen how to process death claims, has seen how to service the client, their account each year. So yeah, definitely. In general, I would say the more experience, the better off you're going to be.
Okay, great. So sometimes I notice too, right, nowadays with younger people, they really don't want to take the time out of their busy schedules to sit down and talk to a financial planner.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's really easy. I'm kind of going through this. I'm purchasing a car, and so I'm doing all kinds of research on independent reviews and Carfax this, Kelly Blue Book that, so on and so forth. And I think that's really important. The difference that I would say is that usually when somebody tries to buy life insurance and they're trying to do that online, they don't like somebody who to be pushy. And to be frank with you, life insurance agents can have a reputation of being pushy. However, that's not always the case, and that's why you need to find a good one. So buying life insurance online, I understand that it's convenient, but it really could be costing you a lot of money. Even though you think you're saving money by saving time, could be very expensive. The reason why is because how would you know, if you're not in the business, how would you know if you're making a good decision?
Well, if you didn't know anything about it, you wouldn't know.
Yeah. Unless you do this a lot,
Mm-hmm.
you would know even what kinds of questions to ask.
That's a good point.
how would you know if you're going with the right company? I mean, you could do a lot of research online and go with a good, reputable company, but how would you know exactly what their customer service is?
Well, and not only that, each policy can be tailor fit for the person's needs.
That's exactly right.
But if they don't know that, then they're just going to pick some random standard term policy or something. Oh, and by the way, what's the difference between purchasing term life insurance versus whole life insurance versus indexed? What is better?
That's kind of a trick-loaded question.
It is.
The right answer to that is it depends, and it depends on what the client is trying to do. You pick the tool that fits the problem, that solves the problem that the client has. And only a good, experienced insurance agent is going to know the difference. And only a good insurance agent or financial advisor that knows what kinds of questions to ask is going to be able to find the right fit. How would you know what's out there, what's available, unless you were a professional?
You wouldn't.
It doesn't make any sense to me. It sounds like it would cost somebody a lot of money, even though they tried to save money by just doing something online and buying something online without the pressure. It sounds very expensive because you could end up with hundreds of thousands of dollars less in benefit. And the other thing, Susan, is it doesn't cost you any more money out of pocket to work with a professional.
Why is that, Dan?
Because the rates are the same. They're the exact same. If you come to me and I with a certain situation and I quote you, it'll be the exact same quotes for the exact same product as it will be the guy down the street or online. So why not work with somebody that you love, that you trust, that you like, and that someday Susan is going to give your spouse or your family a big check.
Right. So for the death benefit.
For the death benefit.
Yeah.
And all through the years, you know that you've been well taken care of, that you're not oversold, that you're not undersold. Sometimes things can cost us a lot of money because we didn't pay a tiny bit more.
Or didn't pay attention.
Right.
Right. So spending the time is critically important. And like you said, sometimes a client wants, or they don't even know what they want yet, but once you start talking to them, they can learn that it's not only about the death benefit. It might be about some other.
There are lots of other benefits that life insurance involves. And how would you know that? That happens all the time. Clients say, I didn't know life insurance could do that. I didn't know that they would save me this much money on taxes. I didn't know I could use this. It's not just after I die. I can use money before then for my family, for me, for other opportunities. I can use it to save money on taxes. How would you know?
Yeah, because usually you just hear, oh, you should just get some term life insurance and then do something else with the other money that you didn't spend on whole life. But whole life might have been a better option in the long run.
It might have been. It might not have.
Yeah.
How would you know?
Right. So it's better to work with a professional. So speaking of professionals and recommendations, can you think of somebody who you can initiate a company that you could initiate the conversation online and then talk to a real person?
Well, us.
That's right. That's us.
That's the advantage. You can do a lot of research and a lot of footwork that way. But you would want to talk to somebody to say, here's my situation. Really, what would you suggest?
Right, another opinion.
Any good professional, whether it's an attorney or accountant, is going to get to know you on a one-on-one basis and get to know what your goals are and get to know exactly what your situation is and point you in the right direction. Any good, solid professional, that's what they'll do. And why wouldn't you want that? Whether it was with us or some other professional out there, why wouldn't you want the very best for you and your family?
It's worth the time.
And to make sure that things are taken care of.
Right.
And then you have that peace of mind that you've taken the proper steps and done the proper planning.
Right. And then you can have an annual review and sit down with them at least once a year, maybe twice a year, and make sure everything's the way that you thought it was going to be.
Make sure that's all current, make sure the coverage is up to date, make sure the beneficiaries are up to date, all of those kinds of things.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Dan.
Thank you.
So I hope that helps you guys a little bit to know about what kind of a person you should find or what kind of company you should find and how much time you should spend in buying your life insurance. Thank you very much.